Have you ever stopped to think that Farmers Dynasty 2 is much more than simply planting, harvesting, and fixing an old tractor? There's a lot going on between the lines of this game that most players will breeze right past without noticing. So today, I've brought 10 facts about Farmers Dynasty 2 that probably no one has told you yet, and I bet at least one of them will completely change the way you play. I'm Matthew, and the video is about to start. Look, when I first heard about Farmers Dynasty 2, I thought, just another farming game. But then I discovered a mechanic that literally made me stop everything and pay attention. The game throws you back to the 1960s. With those classic, noisy, heavy tractors full of personality. You start from scratch with old tools and a slower, more manual way of doing things. And you truly feel the weight of every harvest. It's almost nostalgic, even if you never lived through that era. And as you progress, technology catches up. You literally watch the evolution of agriculture happening in front of you, moving from machinery that looks like museum pieces to high-tech, modern, automated equipment. It's not just a visual change, it's a change in how you play, the speed, the efficiency, everything. It's almost as if the game tells you the history of agriculture without needing to open a book. But the part that really got me excited is this. You aren't forced to stay only in the present. The game allows you to travel between eras, past and present, as an optional feature. And the smartest part of all is that what you do in one era directly affects the other. Decided to plant something in the past, that will have consequences in the future. This isn't just a gameplay mechanic, it's playable narrative. You are literally building a legacy, a family history that spans decades. It's the kind of thing that makes you think twice before any decision. Each choice has real weight because time here isn't linear. It's connected. And that puts Farmers Dynasty 2 on a different level from other farming games. It's not just about planting and harvesting, it's about what you leave behind and what you inherit. To me, that is game design with a purpose. You know that type of mechanic you didn't expect to find in a farming game, but when you discover it, you think, why don't more games do this? That's exactly what the farm flipper system in Farmers Dynasty 2 does to me. The idea is simple. You find abandoned farms, left behind and forgotten by time, and you can buy them for a low price. And then the work begins. You enter these dilapidated properties and start transforming everything. Repairs, decoration, furniture, every detail counts. It's almost like those extreme makeover shows you watch and wish you could join, except here you have total control. The satisfaction of seeing a destroyed farm turn into something beautiful and functional is genuine, and the game knows it. It rewards you not only with profit, but with that sense of accomplishment. And speaking of profit, this is where things get interesting from a strategic standpoint. Selling a well-renovated farm can give you a quick injection of cash, quite different from the slow and patient pace of traditional agriculture. So if at any point you need capital to expand your own base or invest in better equipment, farm flipping becomes a real tool for progression, not just a secondary minigame. What I think is smartest is that the game explicitly encourages this system. As if to say, hey, this is a valid strategy. It doesn't force you to be just a farmer. You can be a renovator, a dealer, a builder. And this freedom to choose how you want to play is what separates good simulators from brilliant ones. Farmers Dynasty 2 clearly got the message. Most farming simulators have a well-defined loop: plant, harvest, sell, repeat. And there's nothing wrong with that. It works very well. But Farmers Dynasty 2 looks at this loop and asks, and after you build all this, who does it go to? This question completely changes the meaning of what you are doing inside the game. You aren't just managing a farm, you are building something that will last beyond you. The Dynasty system is exactly what the name implies. You find a partner, build a family, and watch your children grow up within that world you created. There is something genuinely moving about following this process because every part of the farm you expand, every renovation you make, and every crop you plant starts to have a different weight when you know you are leaving it for someone. It's an emotional investment that few games in the genre manage to create. And when the moment comes to pass the farm to the next generation, it hits you in an unexpected way. You realize you spent hours building that place, and now you are seeing it continue through other hands within the same game. It's organic narrative, no cutscenes, no exposition text. The game tells this story simply by letting you live it. This is what differentiates Farmers Dynasty 2 from practically everything else in the genre. It's not a planting simulator with an RPG layer on top. It's a game about legacy, about what you build and what you leave for others. And that is the kind of purpose that makes you feel inside a game as if it truly mattered. One thing that bothers me in many farming simulators is the feeling that you build something beautiful and it simply stays there, perfect, forever. No wear and tear, no consequence, no reality. Farmers Dynasty 2 goes in the completely opposite direction, and I respect that a lot. Here, what you build has a lifespan, and if you don't take care of it, you will see it deteriorating in front of you. Buildings in the game actually degrade over time, roofs start to sag, doors break, and pens become unusable. And it's not just aesthetic, it has a direct impact on gameplay. If your animal pen is in poor condition, it affects the animals living there. You can't just ignore maintenance and keep playing normally. The farm demands your attention, and that demand is what makes it feel real. What makes this even more interesting is that materials for repairs don't fall from the sky. You collect everything in the game world, which means keeping the farm running becomes a continuous activity integrated into the gameplay. It's not a separate task, it's part of the natural rhythm of being a property owner. And this creates the feeling that you are truly managing a place, not just decorating a set. This is the kind of detail that transforms a common simulator into something you feel. When you climb onto a roof to fix a tile before the rain ruins everything, that isn't just a mechanic, it's a responsibility. And Farmers Dynasty 2 understands that a true simulation isn't just about planting and harvesting, it's about keeping what you built alive. There's a lesson any real farmer learns early. Selling what you produced exactly as it came out of the ground is rarely the best deal. Farmers Dynasty 2 understood this and turned that reality into a core mechanic of the game. You can sell your raw products, no one will stop you, but the game will make it very clear that you are leaving money on the table every time you do. The processing system here is surprisingly deep. Take wood as an example. Instead of selling the raw log, you transform it into organized firewood, and the value rises considerably. The same goes for tomatoes that become soup or eggs that are packaged and ready for sale. These aren't just bigger numbers on a screen, it's the real logic of agribusiness working within the game. You add value before putting the product on the market, and that completely changes your financial strategy. What I think is brilliant about this mechanic is that it creates a chain of constant decisions. You are always thinking about whether it's worth processing now or saving the material for something else. Crafting and processing connect with the rest of the game organically because the materials you collect also serve to fix buildings, as we mentioned before. Nothing exists in isolation, everything fits together. And that, in the end, is what makes Farmers Dynasty 2 feel like a truly thought-out simulator. It doesn't give you easy answers, it puts you in front of real choices. Process or sell raw. Invest time now or make quick money. Each decision shapes the rhythm of your farm, and it's this depth that transforms a simple rural simulator into something you keep thinking about even after you close the game. There's a classic problem in many open world simulators. The seasons are beautiful, but they don't actually change anything. Snow covers the ground, everything turns white, and you keep doing exactly what you were doing in the summer. Farmers Dynasty 2 looks at this and decides to do things differently. Winter here is not a visual filter. It is a real obstacle that you need to manage actively. When winter arrives, lakes freeze, and the paths on your farm get blocked by snow. And this isn't a scenery detail, it's a real operational problem. If you don't clear the paths, you can't move machines, you can't access parts of the property, and the entire routine you built starts to stall. The game hands you a snowplow and basically says, this is your problem now, solve it. This mechanic completely changes the way you plan the farm. You start thinking about winter before it even arrives, preparing the right equipment, and organizing your paths strategically. It's the kind of thing that adds a layer of planning that goes beyond the planting and harvesting cycle. Seasons stop being just a passage of time and become events that require a response. And this connects everything Farmers Dynasty 2 wants to be. A farm that degrades, a winter that blocks, a legacy you build over generations. Each system in the game pushes in the same direction, making you feel that property is real, that it reacts to the world around it, and that taking care of it requires attention year-round. there is no rest season when you have a farm to maintain. Engineer Site. This name alone says a lot. It's a skill in Farmers Dynasty 2 that literally changes what you see on the screen, highlighting damaged structures, showing where to position objects during renovations, and completely transforming how you read the state of your farm. In a game where everything degrades over time, this isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. This skill is part of a much broader progression tree with branches like Builder, Farmer, and Mechanic, each improving specific aspects of your work on the property. And the interesting thing is that this progression isn't abstract. You don't just watch numbers go up on a screen. You feel the difference in practice, in repairs that get faster, in constructions that get more precise, and in a farm that starts to respond better to your presence. Engineer Site specifically connects directly with the farm flipper system. When you enter an abandoned farm to renovate and resell, activating this vision is the first step before anything else. It shows you exactly where the problems are, what needs immediate attention, and what can wait. Without it, you are working in the dark inside a property you barely know. What this entire system communicates is that Farmers Dynasty 2 wants you to grow along with the farm. The more time you invest, the more the game opens up new layers for you. And when a skill changes your perception of the world around you, that's the game rewarding you in a way that goes far beyond a percentage bonus. You arrive in a village after a full day of fixing roofs, plowing snow, and renovating an abandoned farm. You are dirty, tired, and you decide to go talk to the locals. And then the game gives you a response I didn't expect. People avoid you. It's not a bug. It's not an accident. It's the reputation system in Farmers Dynasty 2 working exactly as planned. The villagers actually react to your physical state. If you are too dirty, social interactions are compromised, and this has a real impact on your progression within the game. The solution is at home, in a bathtub that serves exactly that purpose. And this apparently simple detail says a lot about the game's philosophy. Every action has a consequence, including the ones you would ignore in a typical simulator. What makes this even more interesting is that social life isn't a decorative side system. Interactions with residents are just as important as planting, harvesting, or renovating. Building a reputation in the village opens doors, creates relationships, and directly feeds the dynasty system we already know. Finding a partner, starting a family, passing the farm to the next generation, it all starts with a conversation. And you won't have that conversation if you smell like wet earth and manure. Farmers Dynasty 2 uses this system to remind you that a farm doesn't exist in isolation from the world around it. You depend on the community as much as you depend on the soil. And when the game forces you to go home, bathe, and present yourself decently before an important interaction, it's doing something few simulators have the courage to do. Placing real consequences on the small daily choices. Inheriting a farm should be good news. But when you arrive and find falling walls, compromised roofs, and everything abandoned for years, it becomes a complete renovation project before it becomes a home. Farmers Dynasty 2 starts exactly there, placing you in the middle of a dilapidated property and saying, it's yours now, do something with it. And the way the game lets you rebuild this place is where the magic happens. Each material matters here. Bricks, wood, everything has an origin and a purpose within the renovation process. You don't press a button and the wall appears ready. You collect, process, and build with what you have in hand. This creates a real connection with each part of the farm you restore because you know exactly the work that was necessary to get it standing. It's the kind of satisfaction that a shortcut can never replicate. And to help in this process, the game uses the Engineer Site system in a very specific way. It projects visual ghosts showing exactly where each object and tool should be positioned during the renovation. You don't spend time trying to guess the correct fit for a window or the ideal position for a wall. The game guides you visually without doing the work for you, and that distinction is important. It facilitates without oversimplifying. The final result of all this is that each farm you renovate carries your mark. You know every brick, every room, every detail of that construction because you spent hours working on it. And when you sell that property for profit or decide to keep it, that decision has real emotional weight. Farmers Dynasty 2 understands that renovation isn't just about the result. It's about the entire process that makes you feel like that place was built by you. There is something almost meditative in games that respect the rhythm of the seasons, not as decoration, but as the real structure of everything you do. Farmers Dynasty 2 builds its entire calendar around this. Spring is time to plant, autumn is time to harvest, and each season in between carries its own demands. You learn quickly that trying to ignore this rhythm doesn't work because the game won't let you. Spring arrives, and you feel that urgency to prepare the soil and plant before the window closes. Summer is about maintenance and attention. Autumn becomes a race against time to ensure the harvest is done before the cold arrives. And when winter hits, the game changes its tone completely. The snowplow leaves the shed, paths need to be cleared, and the farm enters a survival mode that requires a different type of attention. What elevates this system is that the weather isn't just a beautiful background, it directly affects what you can or cannot do at any moment. A snowstorm blocking access to part of the farm isn't flavor text. It's a real operational problem that you need to solve before continuing. The game uses the weather as a silent character that defines your workday without needing to say a word. And this creates something that few simulators manage. The feeling that time is really passing. You aren't just watching a progress bar advance. You are feeling the seasons change around your farm, adapting your routine, preparing the right equipment, and learning that in agriculture, real or virtual, you don't rule time. You learn to work with it.